Hi everybody, my name is Marta Mama. I'm your basic queer bitch, and since I am from Spain, I live in Spain, but I grew up in the States. I think I have kind of a unique perspective on Drag Race Spain, so let me tell you all the tea you didn't get because of the translation. So, first of all, the girls come back into the workroom and Vulcano has left. And that day and the next day, they're talking about Vulcano and they're using all this weird accent. That's the Canary Island accent. And they're acting all like, because that's what Canary Island drag queens do. We're very sorry she had to leave. She left a message in the mirror and they come back, whatever. Mini challenge. So the mini challenge is about soccer. Soccer in Spain, it's called football. In Spain, it's not like in the US where there are like different sports that people enjoy and you can be like a baseball fan or you can be a football fan. Here in Spain, of course, there are other sports, but the only sport people know really in a mainstream level about is soccer. And it is very embedded into the macho culture in Spain because there's only basically like one main sport, and we are already a very like sexist, macho uh, country and community. It's like identified as the enemy for a lot of queer people in school. Soccer is one of the things that many times, and especially years ago here in Spain, would like separate girls from boys in schools, especially. How schools work here is because since we eat at like 2 or 3 p.m., kids have school from like 9 to 2, and in the middle of the day they'll have a break, which I know is normal, but they don't really like eat at school or anything like that. They have like 3 hours, a little break, and then 3 other hours, and that's how it works. So in the little break that they have in the middle, it is very normal and very traditional that the boys play football and the girls sit in a corner and talk. That's what they do. So a lot of boys feel pressured to play football. It's what's expected from them. Of course, there are girls that play football. Of course, there are boys that don't like football. But that's just what is expected in our culture. So when a lot of them are talking about that they are like traumatized in school, just imagine that we're not talking about sports after school or that you're like a sports person or not. You could play sports after school or not, it doesn't matter. But in school, when you have your little break, you could either go with the boys and play football, or you'd have to, like, if you're not like playing football, you're not a boy, there's like a lot of pressure. And it's not like in the US. I'm not talking about PE or after school. This is just the way of like how they socialize. So for a lot of them, it is a little bit like traumatizing, all the soccer thing. My favorites, personal favorites in this mini challenge where they have to like dress up as soccer players were Dovima. Dovima should be doing this, like being just stupid and funny. And I think she should be doing that more often. I think I was so impressed because she was finally like relaxed and breathing and having fun. I loved seeing that from her. And then I loved Ugacio because, in case you didn't clock it, they put like muscles, like something that was stuffed under his sleeves, so it looked like he had muscles right here. It was great, and right on their legs, and I thought it was like so cool. I loved it. Shout out to Ugacio that was wearing a shirt that said todes. Todes means everybody. But everybody is already a gendered word in Spanish. You can either say todas, which is a feminine word and we use for the ladies, or we can use todos, which is a masculine word and we were used for the guys. And if they're like mixed, you're supposed to use the masculine. this is because from the non-binary community, from the gender studies, we are experimenting with the language using the E instead of making a gendered decision. It's not like correct to talk with the E. It's how we are creating in Spain our inclusive language. Yeah, for example, if you ask someone in Spain their pronouns, they could either say él, ella, or ella, which isn't even a pronoun. You guys have they. We don't have a pronoun that's not gendered, so we kind of invented it. It is funny that the word everybody in Spanish is already gendered. So I like that t-shirt very much. Thank you very much. But well, Killer Quinn won. She was doing this comedy thing about like a dirty soccer player. So she got to pair up the girls for the Maxi Challenge. The Maxi Challenge is about this word, mocatriz. Mocatriz is, I think they translated it as triple threat. But what it means is mo, modelo, ca, cantante, y triz, actriz. So it's a model, a singer, and an actress. If you combine those three words, what you have is mocatriz. And Mocatriz is a song by Ojete Calor. It's a very cool, funny group where the main judge sings. The main judge is Carlos Areces. I'll talk a little bit more about him later. But he has this group where he has songs that are funny because he's kind of a comedian. And one of his most famous songs was Mocatriz. So the challenge is Mocatriz. They're going to have to model, to sing, and to act. Okay, so the pairs were Killer Quinn and Arancia are doing the granny, the grandmas, the old ladies. Ugacio Crujiente and Poopy Poison are doing like the bad bitches. I don't know how they translated. Kind of Banji, maybe. I don't know how they translated it into English. By the way, I cannot see this with the English translation, and I would love to because I live in Spain, and here I can only watch it in A3 Media and not in Wow Presents Plus, which I'm subscribed to both. But I would love to be able to afford a VPN so I can give you all the tea about what the translation is, since I'm a linguist. That's actually what I studied in college. I'm going to leave my PayPal down below, since I would really like to be able to afford just a VPN, just so I can watch RuPaul's Drag Race España with the English subtitles. So if anyone wants to support me, my PayPal is down below. Thank you. Carmen Farala and Dovi Manurmi are the glamorous girls. Inti and Sagittaria are like the hoes, the whores, the hookers. So I'm going to explain the team's performance and the team's runway, and then I'm going to talk about the next team as a whole, and that's the only way I can kind of order my thoughts a little bit. So in all my commentary, a lot of y'all have been saying like, if they did a bad job, just say it. Don't excuse them. If they're not doing a good job, just say it. But you guys, I'm not a judge. I don't understand the people that watch Drag Race, and from all the perspectives that they could watch it, they choose to be a judge in the program. I love Drag Race so much, and I've watched so much Drag Race. What I try to do is to understand each artist in their own context. I'm not going to be the judge. I'm going to be like the guide in a museum. I don't care who wins, who loses, who wins the whole thing, who wins the mini challenge, the maxi challenge. I don't care. But you know what? They don't even care. They're all going to like work and make money afterwards, and it's all fine. Like, people are taking way too serious all of this, and it looks like the only way you can comment on the girls is by like being a judge. Like, you shouldn't have done this. You should have, like, shut up. If you go to a museum and you have Goya here and you have El Greco here, do you have to choose which one is best in order to enjoy it? Do you? I know it's a competition, but you don't have to make the decisions. You're just watching it. I care about art. I consider myself an artist. So I care about where people's minds go when they make artistic decisions. So that's what I am going to try. That's my perspective. So if you don't like it, if you think I'm excusing the girls, if you think I'm like eating ass, if you think I'm being too nice, then you can go and fuck yourself, because I just don't know how to do it any other way. I can be the shadiest bitch ever. I'm not interested in being a judge, because I think that would be very difficult for anyone. I don't even think the judges like the judging part, having to choose like who is better than. Everyone, like, I only want to understand the artist in their own mind. If you want to do the judging, that's on you. Cool, but don't ask me to do the judging. I just want to explain to you guys what I see and what I feel. I don't know. But well, let's go on. First, I'm going to talk about Killer Queen and Arancia. We hear about Killer Queen's story about being a morbidly obese kid, and about the attacks and the bullying and the attacks and the abuse that she had to endure in school and high school. And it was a very like nice moment, because you can now see like the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. They were doing like the grandma magazine. What I felt is that, first of all, they have to work with the drag they brought. I think they were trying to give what they think people expect from them. Personally, I believe that if they had more time, it could have been something a little more layered. I think Spanish grandmas have like such a charisma and such a power that I would love to see that. What I saw was young people playing old people without really like believing it, and kind of like a parody. Maybe I'm wrong, probably I'm wrong. I'm usually wrong, except I would have loved a little bit more layers, and it was a little bit flat for me. And now I'm judging. I would love to have seen Macarena. Please, Macarena, I'm missing you again. I need Macarena in this TV show in every single episode, and I know this must be heartbreaking for her, but Macarena would have killed this. But I don't know. I want you girls to do good. I'm rooting for y'all. So down the runway, Killer Queen and Arancia. I'm going to start with Killer Queen. Killer Queen was dressed like this, and she's dressed like the traditional Madrid regional costume, which is called chulapa, which looks like all of this. And then she incorporated a cat, which a lot of people didn't understand. The cat is because the people that are from Madrid, since it's the capital, and a lot of people like end up living there that are not from Madrid. The people that are from Madrid, like in the past generations, call themselves cats. So un gato means that I'm from Madrid, I was born here, I live here, and probably all my family did that too. And then she turned around, and you could see like this huge cape with the pride flowers, and it had like "A quien le importa" on her back. That was an homage to Pride, an homage to "A quien le importa," which is the song that they scream at the end of the episode. And Madrid was the center of La Movida Madrileña, which was a cultural movement like punk, genderfuck, music, like artistic cinema that we had here in the 80s. And she said that she wanted to do like an homage to the freedom and the pride, and that's what Madrid means to her, and that's also what she considers her home from Madrid. And they said that the looks were not like, it looked like two separate looks, which, yeah, I don't know. What would I have done? I don't know. Maybe a chulapa dress with the pride colors? I don't know. And Arancha comes out with this huge thing. It's like the sticker that you would find in a manchego cheese. Since she is Arancha Castilla-La Mancha, I already explained that. Her name is a play with Hannah Montana. So from Castilla-La Mancha, the most typical thing are either like the windmills or the cheese. So she comes out as the huge cheese, and then she wanted to have her like plot twist runway, and this is her plot twist runway. Because Arancha Castilla-La Mancha is not from Castilla-La Mancha. Plot twist. She is from Extremadura. Extremadura is another region in Spain where they produce like jamón. That's what was on her back. She was wearing the colors of Extremadura, the green, the white, and the black. That's in the flag of Extremadura. And she didn't look like super refined, super cool, but she wanted to have, I guess, her plot twist runway. It was a very simple look. I loved that when she did like she threw away the cheese sticker, she did like, oh, I love that she did the, like Bob talking about RuPaul's fragging. Yeah. I love that. People in Spain don't know what the hell this means, but I thought it was like, girl, yeah. I don't care if you think that Arancha did a terrible job and that her look was terrible. People, this is a drag competition. Just like shut up and stop like sending hate to Arancha. They don't even care as much as you guys do. Can you please like stop hating on her just because she had a bad look? She had the look she wanted to have, or the one she was able to have. And that's the end of it. Maybe she should have been in the bottom two. How is that any of her fault? How is that her fault? Like, what should she have done? Say, no, I volunteer, like in the Hunger Games? Like, leave her alone. If you don't like a look, you can say, obviously, I don't like this look because of this, and this. You shouldn't be saying, like, you should have gone home. Why? Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? I understand that whoever went home, you don't agree with, but just, like, shut up. Stop hating on Arancha. If her looks are not good, then say, her looks are not good, and that's it. You don't have to hate on her. But it's just drag, you people. The winner of Drag Race Spain is not the best drag queen in Spain, just as the winner of MasterChef, which is a cooking program, is not the best chef in Spain. It's a drag competition. It's a reality TV show. Stop caring that much. You people, what's wrong with y'all? So Dovima and Carmen had the Glamour magazine. Dovima was, you could really tell that Dovima has probably never acted, and I think it's like what she was trying to do was valid. It was just, it wasn't working, but it was what she was able to do. The looks. Let's talk about the looks. Carmen Farala is being a cat, not a cat. She's being an Iberian lynx, which is this animal, and it's like almost extinct. It only exists in this region of Spain, and that's the region in Spain where they buried the remains of her father 1.5 years ago, and it's very characteristic of this area. She looked stunning. I loved how she did her eyebrows and her eyes with her little sideburns here, like very catty. The way she did it, she did look specifically as a lynx and not as any other cat, which I thought was cool. And Dovima came out looking like a representation of this legend. We have in like Catalunya, that's where she was from Barcelona. And there they have this tradition, and that comes from this legend, San Jordi. It is on April 23rd, and the tradition says that there was this dragon that was going to kill a princess, and then the knight, like the typical like Prince Charming, came and killed the dragon, and from the blood of the dragon there were like red roses growing. So he gave the red roses to the princess. On the day that we celebrate San Jordi in Catalunya, they still have like this tradition where they pay homage to that legend. They used to give women a red rose and books to the guys. So the girl would buy a book for the guy, and the guy would buy red roses for the girl. And I am already feeling cringy about this whole situation. Obviously, it's not like that anymore. Like you would give a book to anyone, but that's what they did. So I think they incorporated the book thing because it's El Día del Libro, the book day, the day we like celebrate reading and books and stuff. Because that day, I think it was the day of the death of Shakespeare, Miguel de Cervantes as well, which is the author from El Quijote. And that's like a very extended tradition, but only in Catalunya on the 23rd of April. So she was wearing this like armor, and the makeup looked a little bit like a dragon, and she was holding a red rose. I think this is a beautiful sculpture. It's very Galliano and it's amazing. And I think it's cool she's referencing this, so I can explain this. The group I'm going to talk about is Ugacio, Crujiente, and Pupi. I think that in the mini challenge they looked great. Something that you probably didn't get is that they were going very much for a Madrid persona. Pupi is from Madrid, but Ugacio is from Valencia. But she was like talking with a slight Madrid accent, which Madrid accent is pretty neutral. But Madrid people are known for having a little bit of an attitude and being like a certain way. The rest of Spain are not like that. I was born in Madrid and I have family there. I know what they're trying to reference. And she talks about like Arriba Getafe, which is a neighborhood actually that you would have in Madrid. Like, yeah, well, and I think that's funny that they're having like this Madrid persona for like the bad bitch. And then the acting challenge, I think they did very, very well in all of the challenges. I loved how Ugacio looked. I just loved it very much. And Pupi's personality was very funny in this challenge. And then on the runway, Pupi, who is from Madrid, was serving the chulapa dress, as I already explained, and she had on her head a tree with a bear right here. So that is the symbol of Madrid. The tree is called madroño, and the bear, that is the symbol that they would have, the symbol of the city. So she made that into a headpiece hair thing fantasy, and she was wearing like the traditional dress. And then Ugacio Crujiente was referencing Las Fallas. Las Fallas is a very, very cultural, like very, very interesting festivity, which I don't know a lot about, but I'm going to do my best. That happens like in Valencia. I think it happens around March when the spring starts. They spend a whole year collecting money and building these monuments and statues and things that have always like a satire or a parody, or they're talking about something that happened in the world and they're trying to like criticize it or something like that. So they always like make all these sculptures, and actually like the fundraising for this, where they make all these paellas. That's the place where paella is from. And then on a certain day, each neighborhood that has created each of the monuments, they just set them on fire. And there's this huge like firework, and there's like all the fire and all the noise from all the fireworks, and it's representing of like getting rid of the year and the new beginnings and blah blah blah. So what Ugacio was serving was a falla that's just like being built. So you would see like structure and like drawings, and they're using the colors from the non-binary flag in the dress. And that's why at the end they take like a little thing and they make fire in the little heart thing, because the fallas are lit on fire. And that's like the famous thing about Spain. Like you would see fallas in movies. There are no bulls dying, so I would love people to get to know las fallas more than the bullfighting and, you know. To talk about Sagittaria and Inti. First of all, Sagittaria did great in the challenge. I think she was like trying a little too hard, even like when they were doing the different parts of the challenge and they would finish, she would still like keep in character and try to be funny, which, girl, you understand the hustle, you're grinding, you really need for the people to see you and the judges to see you, and you did that, and congratulations. You were not scared to act a fool, and that's why you had a lot of success. You did great in all the 3 little mini parts of the challenge. And then on the runway, she looked like this, which is an homage to crema catalana, which is a traditional dessert in Catalonia. That's where Barcelona is, just like the Vima. And it's basically very similar to creme brulee, if you know that. So she was like all dripping crema catalana. She had the little traditional plate where it's usually served right here. She had a spoon. She looked all like Linda Evangelista. Like she always looks very good. She looked very good. She did a good job. Good job, Saki. Then, Inti. Okay, there's not a lot of commentary. I just have a lot of questions, okay? Just like bear with me. First of all, in the mini challenge, I understand that's killer, the ones that pair them up. But the fact that the only trans-indigenous person that was in the whole contest was playing a prostitute, I think is very cringy. Yes, it is the writing and you should be able to go with the flow, and we've seen similar things. But if I was a writer for the program, I would have never, ever selected for a trans-indigenous person to play a prostitute. I think that is in very poor taste. Actually, you can see how Sagittaria had a Russian accent, and in the first part of the challenge, Inti had a Russian accent as well. And the first thing she did is she put on a blonde wig because she doesn't want to be the trans-indigenous person that is playing a prostitute. And then that kept me thinking, like, when the cast wasn't announced yet, but we were starting to get rumors, the first rumors that we get is that the whole cast was a cast of white people. And we were very angry. I was very publicly angry about it, and we thought it was a disgrace to the art of drag that doesn't come from white people. It was a disgrace to the whole country because Spain is a plural country, but it's still a very racist country. Because we had our dictatorship until 1975, and because of how the economic situation was in Spain, Spain was a place where people emigrated from until like rather recently. Most of the Black and Indigenous people of color that we have from Spain are either first generation, second generation. We don't integrate them into society, honestly. We know there are a lot of people because we see them, but they are left on the margins many of times. And when you're talking about an indigenous person with a trans identity, all of this is like even like more layers of marginalization that go on top of each other. I would really like to know, understanding how the Spanish culture is, just out of curiosity, because this has led me thinking a little bit like what's going on. I would really like to know how many Black or Indigenous people of color were there in the set, in the production. We're doing this right, aren't we? We're doing the right thing here. I really want to know. Like, Inti is not the only person of color in the whole set, is she? Because I tend to think that if there were any people of color in the production, in the writing, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I'm sure that the only person of color in the whole production cannot just be the delivery guy that brings you the pizza or the cleaner. There are people of color in other departments. I hope it wasn't all a set of white people and Inti and all the white people telling her that she has to play this prostitute. Because she could have played the mom, who was also a prostitute, but it wasn't as cringy. I don't know where she lost the Russian accent, if it was her decision, she just forgot, or what was going on. There should be more people of color behind the cameras. I would really like to know how many people of color there were on set, because I don't understand that these decisions were made, and I understand that it was Killer Queen, the one who like chose the teams, but honestly, just by the name Pilingui, you could have sold sex in many different ways, not only by being a hooker. This would be similar as if in the United States you had just one Black person in the competition. I don't know how many people there were on set that were people of color, but just imagine that you're the only Black person on the whole set, not only the whole cast, and then you have to play a slave. Yeah, this is the 21st century slaves that we have are these. I'm a white girl talking about race shit, and this is not my place because it is cringy for me as a white person to say this. It's just like every time I hear a man talk about gender issues, I cringe. I do. Even if they're saying it's right, it's not like this is not my place, but I just really want to know if we're doing the right thing. You're not taking something from the people of color culture, like drag race, and all the ballroom things where all the like the language, the competition, all the different elements of drag race are from Black and Indigenous and people like communities of people of color specifically. You're not taking that product and you're making it with a whole white production. You're not having the only person of color being the product. You're not like using the culture created by people of color and the person of color themselves and using them as a product, are you? There are other people of color behind the cameras, aren't they? I would like to know, just because A3 Media has done this before. Like, for La Veneno, for example, they had trans people in every single department, and they said that all the time. And I think that was like the best decision they've ever made, and that was key to the success. Here, that we're using elements from a culture that comes from people of color, I guess that we had people of color behind the cameras as well. Didn't we? I tend to think that if there were more people of color in the production and the writing, they would have never put Inti in the role of a hooker. I don't think it's funny. I think she didn't do that bad. I'm gonna blame it on the editing. I think that a lot of the conversations were not aired, but there's a moment where you can see how Inti's attitude changes like this. And I think they must have been something that wasn't aired. Maybe this is just like a little conspiracy theory and I'm making it up. We know that every time someone chooses to leave a competition, all this is like overproduced. And what you see is not what happened, is what they wanted to show about what happened. Like, I think she wasn't in that bad of a mood for the modeling or the treadmill thing. But for the acting challenge, she dropped the Russian accent, her attitude, her everything. I don't know. I hope we are not taking a culture that comes from people of color, but you're not really hiring people of color for important positions only as the product that you're selling. I call that colonization, and I think we did that already. I don't understand how people are not cringing about this, and they're cringing more about Arancia's look than about having an indigenous trans person playing a prostitute. The first thing Inti said when she came out into the workroom was, your dad forgot this, like at my place yesterday, whatever. And it was these boxers with the Spanish flag in them. And she did this interview, I'll put it down below, where she explained that sentence, the entering sentence. And she explained that trans and indigenous people in Spain end up having to work in survival sex work because that's the only way a lot of trans indigenous people can survive. And there are a lot of like white married men that would go to these women and then like act like if they were very conservative with their wife and everything. That's the first thing she said when she walked into the workroom. I think they were expecting something from Inti, and what they were getting is something very different. From the first moment, what I thought about Inti is that she comes from ballroom and she has a lot of things to say. Inti is 20 years old, but I think she is a very radical, transgressive artist, and I'm here for it. We need more artists like Inti. And Inti doesn't really need me to defend her, or indigenous people don't need me to defend her because they can defend themselves. But I am cringing as a white person. And I just wanted to express that. Inti's look down the runway was amazing. Everyone thought was amazing. She was criticized because the dress she had underneath was too simple, or the boots were too simple. Did you clock the boots? Yes, she did a very, very poor job in the challenge, but what she was criticized about was her runway. And her runway was not the problem at all. She would have been saved because of the runway. Her look is so clever and the concept is so important for this week. Her roots, she's playing La Diablada, which was a way where they would scare away the colonizers so they could stay alive, indigenous people, like many years ago. And since then, it's like a traditional, I guess, like dance music, festivity, whatever, in Bolivia. I think everything she was saying was so interesting. Like, Christians are very binary, that you're either like God or the devil, but for them, they had like more layers into all of this, but that they used Christian symbols in order to scare away the white colonizers so they could like stay alive. So you can see some Christian symbolism, some indigenous symbolism mixed. It was so interesting, everything that she was saying, what she was presenting. And the fact that she left, I absolutely understand. I think they haven't shown us the whole thing. I'm sure, but the little that we know Inti, that she was saying a lot more than what was aired. The edit that they gave her was a kind of like entitled girl. I don't think that's the tea. Inti comes from ballroom. I do know in my real life more about ballroom than drag in real life. I know about Drag Race, but I'm closer to the ballroom culture. And in the ballroom culture, the people that are judging you are people that are there for a reason, that they are already like icons or legends. It's not like a pageant. You can challenge what they're saying to a certain extent. Because I come from like a dancing background and because I have friends that dance and walk balls, I know about this thing with Anna Locking where she was accused of cultural appropriation for the collection Realness because she was inspired very much by voguing and ballroom and things that are specific from the Black culture. When I hear Anna Locking criticizing Inti's look, saying that her boots were too simple, and I remember this about Anna Locking, I cringe a little bit harder. So I'm very sad to see Inti leaving. I would have loved for her to feel comfortable. I think she did what she felt like was the right thing. I think Cristal La Bella did this in The Queen, and now we all agree it was the right thing to do. And in that moment, probably everyone thought she was being like entitled or whatever, but right now when we go back and look at Cristal La Bella, we understand that what she did was revolutionary and was very important. And I think what Inti is doing, I'm sure, is the same way because I trust her very much. So Inti went home. Inti, I admire you very much. Thank you for being there, for representing trans, non-binary identities. Thank you for letting me know a little bit more about your culture. And I think you were probably my favorite to win the competition. But well, I think you're also better than Drag Race and that your legacy does not depend on Drag Race or on you winning or losing or whatever. I think you're a complex artist. I would really like to know your opinions. I would really like to know if I'm saying anything that's wrong or if I'm being like a white savior here, if this is me being over dramatic because of I didn't understand the critiques. I really could not give less fucks about who wins the season or the episode or the critiques or who lip syncs. I think you guys can tell. I don't care. It's Drag Race. It's the most unimportant, overproduced, plasticky thing in life. I don't care about who wins or not. I care about artists, about their decisions, about the code that we're using to tell a story. I care about all these things, but I just would really like to know your feedback as well. Congratulations to Sagittaria, she did a good job. Congratulations to Pupi, she did a very good job. Congratulations to Gato Crujiente because I think they did such an amazing job this week. The other girls were also great in their own ways. They have their own fortes. Please stop sending hate to the girls. They're having a very harsh time. I want to send a special big hug to Killer Queen because of telling her story, and to Inti. Girl, you did that. You did that. And okay, so that was everything for today. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, like the video. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you want to support, you have my PayPal down below. I love you. Stay queer. Thank you. Bye.